We were all born with the innate power of knowing and wisdom within us. The challenge for many of us is that we were taught to seek answers externally instead of searching from within. And this is the reason why so many of us find ourselves going around in circles, searching for new ways, but could never find the way. The womanly way. It's not the way. It's not my way. But it is a pathway to support all of us returning back to self, reconnect with our inner wisdom through loving ourselves, knowing ourselves, and reconnecting with ourselves.
Tell me and be honest. Tell me, should I've known?
So we can start to find our own way as modern day women. Are you interested? Well, sit back, relax, and welcome to this amazing journey. Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. Oh my goodness me, I have literally been procrastinating about recording this episode for the past week. And today I literally said to myself, I don't care what we need to do, how we're going to get there, but we are recording this episode. So I am currently in a hotel room at a place called Kingscliff here in Australia. It's still in my home state of New South Wales, but it's like right up the top. It's literally the second town away from the New South Wales and Queensland border. It's a sleepy beach town and it's absolutely beautiful on a gorgeous day. It's also a very popular surf town, and also since COVID, like people have been moving in from the city like crazy. I'm here on a project building 2 schools for the local government, which is rewarding in a sense, but also frustrating. But that is a separate topic for another day. So I'm literally sitting in my hotel room, in my bed in my hotel room, and I have been doing everything. I've been responding to work emails. I've been scrolling on social media. I even watched TV. And just like absolutely trying to delay this for as long as I can. But it's for a very good reason though. Well, not really a good reason, but I can understand. And if you're anybody who has, I guess, studied or understood or gone through what I would call generational money belief challenges, you will understand why today's topic is difficult. So today, I really desire to talk about money and why I am finally coming out to say I love money, and what I believe that we all should talk about money and have the love for money more openly. And it's a topic that we really should talk about it a lot more. But for me to touch on this topic, I first need to talk about my money story and my money belief, right? It's interesting. We'll come back and talk about this earlier this month when I channeled through the new phase that we're stepping into for the Womanly Way. I took a step back when the message came through and literally universe, my higher self, my guides were telling me that I need to talk about money. In fact, they made one of my pillar for the Womanly Way is the love for money, love for ourselves, love for our family, and the love for money. And this is what they said to me, right? They kind of say, well, you knew this all along, that you love money And you know that in order to achieve what we want to achieve, money plays a big part of it. And so it is my job to essentially help people understand, heal their wound with money, and use that to provide for themselves and their family and create this new lifestyle that they desire. And for me, it really is the toughest thing to talk about, because coming from a very traditional Asian family, talking about money is almost like taboo. In fact, I remember back in 2015 when I first started my own business, my very first business, my dad asked my mum this question: why does Lala want money so much? Why is she so money hungry? Why does she love money so much? And I love my mum for her answer. She said, Lala isn't doing what she does for the love of money. What she's really doing is really contributing back to society. Because back then, I used to run a lot of fundraisers. I would do catering for charity. And so really for me, money is a way that I could serve. Right? Having a business is a way that I could serve. But at the same time, without income coming in, I can't serve, can I? In fact, I will be just purely running charity and losing money. So I realized very early on a path of having business, that having money and loving money isn't a bad thing. But at the same time, there's this contradiction in terms of my new belief as an adult and the old belief that I have passed down to me through generational money beliefs. Just to set the scene even further, if you know the history of Taiwan as an island, both my mum and my dad's side of the family actually came from China. They were part of the I wouldn't call Chinese government, but the Chiang Kai-shek army that moved from China to Taiwan. And in my grandparents' generation, they've gone through a lot of hurt. They've been through two wars, the First World War and the Second World War. And so they were very frugal, because just like a lot of our grandparents, right? In my generation, I think when you have gone through massive events like that, there's always a part of you that is always preparing for the worst, because you never know what tomorrow holds. And because they were new to Taiwan, the early years, life was difficult in the early years. I remember all the stories that my parents were telling me, how my dad's family were probably slightly more worse off in terms of their financial status and their status in general. But they were talking about how they had to fight for their land, build their own houses. Life wasn't easy. And so my parents were very frugal as well. And when we were little, we've always been told that money doesn't come easy. We have to work for it. And then we have to save, we have to be frugal. But at the same time, I don't know how often you've seen like Chinese families fight at the dinner table when they're like outside. My parents and my grandparents aren't very good at receiving. it's always a fight who pays for the meals, and it's even a fight about, receiving red pockets in Chinese New Year's, or, when my grandparents give us red pockets, my parents will always take it and then they somewhat give the same amount of money back to my grandparents. So we never receive our red pockets. It almost just becomes a gesture of money exchange. But my memory in terms of my family's relationship with money really stems from, I remember this specific event or two. But one of it is, my dad's a surgeon, and in Taiwan, before any surgery, generally the patients would give the doctor really good, nice gift and also a nice red pocket. And I vividly remember my dad returned the gift and the red pocket. But the way that he returned it was almost like kind of rude and angry. So he took our entire family to his patient's home, returned it, and insist on that they keep it. And it's a bit of a push and shuffle kind of situation where, the family pushed the gift back to my dad and my dad insists on no, almost like in a very angry tone, and insists on not receiving the gift. Or me seeing my grandparents chucking money back at my parents when they're trying to split the payment for like a meal. So as you can imagine, those were my vivid memories of what money can do. They're not great, are they? It's more around money makes people argue. It just creates a very bad vibe, and it's almost like people trying to get rid of money rather than receiving them with grace. And so I've established this almost love-hate relationship with money with a lot of shame attached to it. Because growing up, I seem like the only person in my family that enjoys having money, that loves money. Yet I've been told, that money is evil, that we should not be greedy, all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of shame attached to having money and having wealth. And I was very ungrateful about it. It's like, oh yeah, our family isn't well off. We're okay, but compared to other people, we're not all that well off. So rather than being grateful towards having a somewhat above average life, I became very ungrateful. Because of this resentment, I'm always comparing myself with my friends who has more money, who gets more pocket money, and all those kind of things where I had to work my butts off. I started working when I was 14, delivering paper and like newsletters and things. And then I started working at a hotel as a maid when I was 15 or 16. So I started working very young because I desire to have my own money and not having people telling me what to do. I just always had this desire for luxury, this desire for finer things in life. Later on, of course, when I started studying my astrology, it all makes sense, right? It all made a lot of sense. If you look at my chart, there's a lot of signs about how I am meant to have this finer eye for beauty, for beautiful things. But this relationship with money really didn't help. As you could, if you know anything about money and beliefs, it was doomed to fail. A lot of my relationships were based around money. A lot of my arguments with my ex-boyfriends were based around money and wealth and spending. But it also affected me. I don't want to use the word negative, but it heavily affected me when I started business. Because my family were never into business. And I also remember, it's almost like having a business is bad. You're going to end up losing money anyway. So with that kind of mindset and having a business, I know this story just gets worse and worse. But I promise it's getting better. When I went through my divorce, it was almost like I have regained my freedom with money, because my ex-husband had a very different mindset around wealth creation, around investment. And I felt very controlled by him, because there was always restrictions around what I should do, what I should spend, what I should contribute to the household, and all that sort of things. So I started spending, but also started my own business. So what I find is whenever I have money, I would just go and buy the things that I want. And then I end up in the cycle of having money, not having money, having money and not having money. Because I'm very good at earning money. I'm also very good at saving money, but also very good at spending money. And it came to a point where essentially I'm earning more than what I can spend. And, my frugalness tapped in and started my own business. But then it's almost like my psyche found another way to spend. During the first year of my business, I had worked really hard to build online presence, to build my website and all the things. And I was very excited one day when a new client approached me and literally said, look, I found you guys through word of mouth. And I've got a birthday party coming out in this highly affluent suburbs in Sydney's eastern suburbs. I would love for you to be my caterer. Now, anyone who has started their own business and, the first time that you get a client that's not a friend, we understand how exciting that was. I didn't do too much more background checking, even though part of me was like, this is too good to be true. And I accepted the job. And it was really interesting because everything was done by email and the client was so happy to pay. He's also asked me to withdraw some funds from his credit card and help him pay one of his friends who's a party entertainer who doesn't have credit card facility. Anyway, long story short, it turned out this whole thing was a scam. Right, essentially, they were using stolen credit cards and asked me to transfer funds to this party planner, which doesn't exist. But because I took the funds out of the credit cards, I have to pay them back, which I then don't have the money to pay them back because I've already transferred it to a third party, which I couldn't get the money back from. Essentially, I have to fork out money from my own bank account to pay all these poor people whose credit card got stolen that I took funds out of. Anyway, long story short, I lost $12,000 overnight. And that was a shock to the system because I had bought my new car. I had bought a new investment property which I lived in, and I've started a new business. So I don't have a lot of money on me, and I had to really gradually pay the bank back. But it was through this experience I learned something about the unconscious belief. I learned a lot about my own money belief. I started to do a lot of clearing on my money beliefs, but also I started to do clearing around receiving. Believing that I'm worthy of receiving and believing that I'm worthy of holding on to wealth. But talking about money has always been the scary thing. Just because every time I talk about how much I love money, my dad's voice would come up. And there comes that shame again, right? I feel like I've let my parents down. It's like, what would my dad think of me? But about 2 weeks ago, I met up with a friend of mine. And we were talking about what lights me up. And I never really told anyone up until this point. But it was as if I had a cue from the universe to talk about it, and I felt safe to talk about it. And I said, you know what? I actually love talking about money. I love thinking about money. But the reason I love it so much is because it lights me up when it's when I know the work that I'm doing is helping someone else creating wealth so that they can support themselves, support their family, and do the things that they wanted to do. And I love talking about money because I know without money, when we don't have it, right, it creates a lot of stress, anxiety, and just all the things that makes us feel unsafe and unstable and insecure. Because we live in this 3D world, and money is the currency that allows us to feel safe and secure in this 3D world. You're like, well, that's just insecurity that you can work on. Yes, but money allows you to have a roof over your head, to be fed, to have your basic needs met. And let's admit it, when our basic needs aren't met, like not having a home to live in, not being able to feed ourselves and our family, not being able to take a bath because you don't have somewhere to stay, there's nothing you could do to serve humanity when you can't even get your own basic needs met. And I truly believe that every single one of us are here to serve in some way, in some capacity. And so it lights me up to see people being able to have their basic needs met through money, and then being able to live in overflow so that they can serve with their overflow from an energy perspective, from a wealth perspective. And that lights me up when I can see other people being lit up. And it's really interesting, right? After I was talking to Hera, my friend, about this, the next couple of days, the download starting to come about this next phase of the womanly way. And when the love of money came up as one of my pillars, I'm just like, oh my goodness me. So this is what the universe wants me to talk about. It's a mindset shift. But it's something that I need to talk about in order to start that ripple effect on that mindset shift. To talk about the taboo and to talk about why it is important to talk about this taboo topic of money, of wealth. It's not a dirty word, right? When you come from a place of love and service, it's not a dirty word. Money is a tool that allows us to transform our visions into reality. That's what it is. And the more that we'll learn to love and accept it and be able to open our arms and receive it, the more we are able to live abundantly. My vision for the Womanly Way really is to help and support modern day women, working moms, working women, to find ways that you can tap into your own harmony. I'm not going to say masculine energy, feminine energy. It's your own harmony within you, whether you choose to be more masculine or more feminine, but knowing that there's a different way. It's not all about the pushing. It's not all about the hustle. Sometimes it's about pulling back, calling things in and receiving things. But whatever way it is, when we can open our arms and go, hey, money, here I am. Allow me to utilize you to create this win-win relationship. So you get to enjoy the flow, you be money, the flow of exchange, giving and receiving. I truly believe money loves to move around. So the more that we move money, the more that we can generate wealth, right? You help money achieve the movement that it desires, and you create the wealth that you desire, and then you get to serve the world with whatever gift that you're meant to bring to the world when you can get your own needs met. And I'd really, 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 for me, I really want to see women succeed. Right? Nothing lights me up more seeing women doing what they do best in their career, but then at the same time absolutely killing it at home and having their own business, side hustle, passion project, whatever you want to call it, on the side. I truly, truly, truly believe that every single person should have at least one side hustle or one additional streams of income. And that's what I'm passionate about. And in order to, let's face it, right? In order to have the side hustle, has this additional streams of income, you need money. You need the flow of money, right? In order to create that energy. I almost see money like, it's like a vortex. It goes around, giving and receiving, and depending on how much energy you give it, it will create this, almost like I want to say hurricane, but like a vortex, right? And the more energy you give it, the better energy you receive. The more good energy you give it, the better the energy you receive. But the more bad energy that you give it, like my negative money beliefs that I had previously, the more bad energy you're going to get. Just like anything, right? Money is just energy. So why do I really want to talk about this today? And I think it really is, I just have this desire to open up the channel of conversation. I believe we need to talk about money more. We need to educate ourselves and our next generations about money more. And we need to really stop looking at anyone that loves money, that loves earning, that loves creating wealth as someone who's bad, and really look at it from the aspect that wealth is what will allow you a steady foundation and then allow you to give not just yourself, but your family, your community, the best. And then create the dream life that you desire for yourself, for your community, for your family. And I think in order to create that, it starts with us accepting these conversations more. So just a thought, a bit of rambling, but I hope that this has given you some food for thought And if you have, I guess, any questions, or if you wanted to talk to me about your thoughts on this topic, feel free to send me an email or message me on Instagram, where I hang out the most of the times, and all the details are in the show note. So thank you for listening. I hope this all makes sense, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would really appreciate if you enjoy any of our episodes. Like it, subscribe to my channel, to my podcast, and share them with your friends. Love you all so, so, so much, and you're all so deserving of the success, the wealth, and all the things that you have created in your life. Love you all. I will talk to you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Womanly Way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast if you feel aligned to do so. Or check out our post-show discussions on my Instagram page, @The Womanly Way. See you next time.